Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Jnanatirmirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Shreshtham Maranapi Satchiputramatra Surupam Rupam Tasyagrajamuruparim Maturim Goshtavatim Radha Kundam Girivaramaho Radhika Madhavasham Praptar Yasya Pratita Kripaya Shri Gurum Tam Natosmi Vandeham Shri Guru Shritaf Padagamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajiva Sadvaitam Savadhutam Bharijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padani Sahagana Lalita Shiva Sakara Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. It's very close. Sham Nityananda Das from Delhi has sent the following query. There are many opinions and philosophical interpretations within Vaishnav society. What is the Vaishnav process of resolution of these conflicts? Should there be? He's giving a few possible alternatives. 1. A majoritarian democratic process involving the entire Vaishnav congregation. 2. Literal textual authoritarianism with strict enforcement and excommunication procedures. 3. Hegemony of those who have attained institutional positions due to experience and merit. 4. A legal and philosophical disputation process in which all sides submit their positions and the judgment is made by a body of judges appointed through consensus. 5. An internal dialogue process based on argumentation and compromises that makes everyone least upset. Or 6. Let each faction thrive and only if the harmony is disturbed, punitive action be taken against the culprit. So the topic is resolution of, or maybe non-resolution, or how to deal with various philosophical opinions. Well, in response to this, there are many opinions, but the truth is one. But even that truth may be seen from various perspectives. That's even at the highest level. If we tell Mother Yashoda that Krishna is dancing in the night with Radharani, she won't believe it. No, he's sleeping peacefully. There are different philosophy. There are 4 main sampradayas within Vaishnavism, and they have different philosophies. And the philosophy, or we can say different brands or different strains of the same philosophy, which is that we are all eternal servants of Vishnu. But if we examine their philosophy, we'll find that it's not just a matter of philosophical understanding, but it comes down to taste also. Those who are inclined to worship Vishnu in a majestic way, their philosophy will match that. So these various ways, philosophical disputation, that may be there within, this is talking about within various sampradayas. seems to be like that, or within an institution, as ISKCON is an institution. This idea of everyone having a say, a body of judges, just so that everyone doesn't get upset. They're all different ideas, but again, truth is one. So we should try to understand that. The truth is understood through Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. So within Vaishnav society, or within Vedic society, in a broader Vedic society, disputations, they're brought to dispute, to debate. And there are certain axioms. Within Vedic society, the axiom is that we accept the authority of the Vedas. Particularly Shruti Pramana. Then Shruti, and then Smriti. Shruti means the original Vedas. Smriti means Itihas and Puranas. And then Nyaya, this is Prasthantraya, the three sources or methods. So Nyaya means Vedanta, Upanishads, which is also Shruti, but particularly as commented on by Vyasadeva in Vedanta Sutra. So that's Vedanta Sutras. This is within the Vedanta schools, which includes the Vaishnava schools plus the Advaita school of Shankara. So they accept the Vedanta Sutra. That's the go-between. Bhagavad Gita also, because Bhagavad Gita is may be considered Shruti in as much as Yasvayam Padmanabhasya Mukha Padmat Vinisritam. It's directly spoken by Krishna, who is the Veda. Shruti means that which emanates from Narayana. So this is and then again it may be considered Smriti because it's within Mahabharata, which is so that's the Vedanta Sutra is supposed to negotiate what is the ultimate understanding of all Shruti and Smriti. And then again, Srimad Bhagavatam, that Sarvaveda Itihasanam Saram Saram Hyudahritam, the extracted essence of all the Shastras is Srimad Bhagavatam. So in debate there has to be some acceptance of some grounds on which we can discuss. So in the Vedanta schools, which dominate orthodox Indian spiritual life at the present time, by that I mean we're not talking about Sai Baba or Amma or any modern fashionable ideas, but those which are well grounded in tradition. So they accept Vedanta Sutra, and especially Gauriyas have given great emphasis on Srimad Bhagavatam. Vallabhacharya also, Srimad Bhagavatam. So debate. There may not be resolution. The debates may go on forever. That means that if someone is convinced of a certain thing, then it's very difficult to unconvince them. There's that saying by Pepys or Pope, a man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still, although you can't really convince someone against their will. William Blake, we both read the Bible day and night, but where I see black, you see white. So there may not resonate. There's the Advaitavadis and Vaishnavas. and this, of course, Shankaracharya appeared historically, but this is going on from time immemorial. The Mayavadis or Brahmavadis debating with the Vaishnavas, that will go on. So there may be no resolution of this, and then you have to follow what you think. Or even within a sampradaya, we find that in the Sri Vaishnava sampradaya, Tengalai, Vadagalai, the split is there over various philosophical points. Is Bhagavan, Paramatma, inside the soul or with the soul, for instance? There's no resolution. The resolution at the present time is that they gave up. They don't fight anymore. They just go on with life together. Within our ISKCON also there's Guruvad, Ritvikvad, that's going on. Although Ritvikism is expelled from the original ISKCON society that Srila Prabhupada set up, and there's a whole alternative movement of Ritvikism, which is like it's similar to Protestantism, which broke away from the authorized or original Catholic Church and said, this is the real thing. So these things will go on. And what's the resolution? How we should be eager to find the truth. Atato Brahma Jignasa. On an institutional level, it's not possible to bring everyone together. One suggestion is just let everyone do whatever they want. But there has to, that it goes on to some extent. Just like within ISKCON at the present time, there are different devotees and different leaders who have different outlooks on different issues, but as long as it's within certain limits, then it's allowed to go on. Although it can be confusing for new people who come when they go to one lecture one day and someone says something, and another day someone says something on the same point quite different. One has to follow a guru. That's the point. The guru is supposed to be the medium who on behalf of the disciple links one with Krishna. Within a sampradaya, if someone is deviant, there may be all right, let's go to the Gauriya Vaishnava sampradaya has traditionally been not much structured, less than any of the other sampradayas, either Advaita or Vaishnava. It's traditionally not been very structured, but there has been excommunication also. In history, the Rupa Kaviraj, he gave a theory that only renunciants could be gurus, was specifically targeted against the line of Srinivasa Acharya, who married late in life. And he was expelled for this heresy. And then he got some more heresies. And then
Who was expelled?
no, not Srinivasa Acharya, Rupa Kaviraj. Yeah. And there's the Hit Harivangsha Sampradaya, which worships Radha, but they're not considered Gauriya because they don't accept any Shastra. It's just directly Radha. Anyway, there are so many points if we go into it. And no need to follow Ekadashi because the gopis of Vrindavan, they didn't follow Ekadashi, and so on. So if something is too if it's not just different but it's heretical, then there may be those the orthodoxy or the authorities of a sampradaya may expel them. But those who are expelled, they don't think that they're heretical. They think the others are heretical, and so it goes on. So what can you do? On an individual basis, then you just have to pray, Krishna, guide me to the right path. If we're sincere, then we'll get the right guidance. As I was mentioning yesterday, there's so much emphasis put. You have to find a guru who's not going to cheat you. Well, you become the disciple. All right, that's good. You should look for a guru who's not going to cheat. But you should also become a disciple who doesn't want to cheat the guru and cheat himself and cheat everyone else also. Krishna will reciprocate. Institutionally, how to manage all these things? Well, often we just have to take it as it comes. Just like this Ritvik heresy arose, so it had to be dealt with. Then it's officially considered heretical within ISKCON to maintain that the soul never fell from the spiritual world, although many devotees within ISKCON, they still quietly accept that, and no one's making much of a fuss about it. And how are you going to settle all this anyway? You can go on, in the other kind of thing, you'll go on debating forever. So, what's the answer to all this? Well, within ISKCON as an institution, we have to, like I say, we don't have a strong institutionally we don't have a strong philosophical basis. Philosophically, as we have Srila Prabhupada's books, we have the teachings of the Acharyas, we do have a very strong basis, but it's not been reified, is that the right word here, brought into the institution. We're quite weak, I would say. I mean, there are not many who seem to be even willing to give philosophical guidance. It's even the courses are taught by Bhakti Shastra, and I'm so I'm told they deliberately avoid controversial points. What is the Vaishnava process of resolution of these conflicts? That's the essence of this question. Well, there isn't one set Vaishnava system, but the general system is that the Acharyas, they will not just pronounce, but they will make writings on various points. We find that all the various Acharyas, one of the reasons why we have the prominent Acharyas given in our Sampradaya, there have been thousands of gurus within Gauriya Vaishnavism. Why in the list of names do we have Rup, Raghunath, Krishnadas Kaviraj, Narottam, Vishwanath, Baladev? Well, many of them are there because they addressed various philosophical points in their writings and clarified them. So that is part of a major part of being a prominent Acharya. Even more than initiating many disciples is to establish this, and even more than opening temples, is to establish the Sampradaya or make a philosophical contribution. The original 6 Goswamis, they established the whole philosophical basis of our Sampradaya. Jiva Goswami especially addressed so many philosophical issues in his Shandarbhas. Krishnadas Kaviraj, he gave the philosophy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in who he is. Na Chaitanyat Krishna Jagati Paratapam Parasatyam. Na Chaitanyat Krishna Jagati. Can't remember the last few lines. Anyway, there's no truth higher than him. Yadadvaitam Brahmopanishadidi Tadapyasya Tanubai Ya Atmanta Yami Purushang Iti So Sangsa Vibhavaha Sharaishwarya Purno Yayaha Bhagavan Saswayamayam Na Chaitanya Krishna Jagati Para. Just can't remember the last line. Anyway, that which is extolled as Brahman in the Upanishads, Paramatma in everyone's heart, meditated on by the yogis, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, full in six opulences, that is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There's no truth higher than him. Vishwanath Chakravarti, he gave the direction of the Gauriya Sampradaya into the Parakya rather than Svakya worship of Krishna, apparently deviating from Jiva Goswami, apparently, and so on. So that's it ultimately, that it is resolved by writings, and then we have to see, and then who will say what is orthodox. Within the Madhva Sampradaya, they have their Ashtamat. So what is concluded that they have the orthodoxy is connected with particular mats. But in the Gauriya Sampradaya, it's never been like that. Well, you could say Radha Kund, there's the Mahant of Radha Kund among the Babajis and their followers. The Mahant of Radha Kund is supposed to be the highest authority. But that's only a very small number of Gauriyas. So, truth reveals itself. Just recently I listened to or truth reveals himself, Krishna reveals himself. Recently I heard a recording of Srila Prabhupada speaking at a Pandal program in Hyderabad, after which someone asked a question. It was quite a long, he spoke quite a long time, and Prabhupada listened, and then Prabhupada gave a long reply. In essence, the question was this, is that Shankara says that Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. Ultimate is true and this world is false. And Madhva says Brahma Satya Jagat Satya. This world is real, Brahman is real, and this world is real. And Ramanuja, this man said that I can't understand him. He says this world is real and not real and different phases. He didn't seem to have a very high opinion of Ramanuja. And he asked Prabhupada, could you clarify this? And Srila Prabhupada said, well, we follow Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We reject this. The system is Mahajana Yena Gata Sapanta. One has to follow a Mahajana. But then Srila Prabhupada says, but you have to use common sense also. That's a very interesting thing, isn't it? Because someone says, well, I'm following a Mahajana, I'm following Shankara. Someone else will say, I'm following a Mahajana, I'm following Madhva. We have to use. So, from this we understand that understanding or perceiving reality is ultimately reality is independent, objective. But From the individual point of view, it's subjective also. Srila Prabhupada said, common sense also. And he gave the example that, well, if Brahman is Satya, how is the Jagat which comes from it Mithya? And he gave various examples to nullify the Mayavad philosophy. So one has to, it may be that someone will say this, maybe a very respected figure, institutional leader, but ultimately the individual has to see where to go, what to follow. Or there may be those who just turn off their thinking process and think, oh, well, I'll just chant Hare Krishna. You can also do that. We can emphasize orthopraxy instead of orthodoxy. That means we'll just follow the process. Never mind about the philosophy so much. Of course, that's not what's... And others will say, no, you have to get the philosophy right, and then you can practice properly. And that actually is the teaching of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Siddhanta balya chittena karaha losh, yaha hoite krishna lage surya manosh. Don't be lazy in understanding the philosophical truth. By this way, your mind will become closely attached to Krishna. Institutionally, yeah, there may be excommunication. If someone comes up with a theory that actually the Brahma Kumaris are right, it's Lord Shiva who spoke Bhagavad Gita, not Krishna, then they'd have to be excommunicated from ISKCON. For instance, if I was to start preaching that, which I'm not going to do, I'm just giving an absurd example, then I should be excommunicated. Yes. Other things, they may be more marginal. Okay, another question from Sham Nityananda. Is there a central principle for the establishment of Varnashram Dharma? Yes. It is Varnashramaccharavata Purushena Parafpuman Vishnura Radhyate Panta Nanyat Tatto Shakaranam. The central principle is that everyone works within their particular position for the satisfaction of Vishnu. That is the central principle of Daiva Varnashram Dharma. Then he goes on. Different scholarly devotees have given different perspectives on the subject. One, there must be segregation of the sexes, and they should only interact in a ritualistic manner to produce children who would presumably be high-class brahmanas, being products of controlled sex and Vaishnava rituals. Well, I never heard anyone say this, that men and women should be segregated, they should only come together for production of children. I never heard such a thing. It doesn't sound very practical either, that men and women are so totally segregated. Sannyasis maybe, but then the majority of the population are going to be grihastas. And if men and women are going to be segregated, only interact in a ritualistic manner to produce children, it's not at all feasible. I mean, women, for instance, they serve the meals to the husband, so many things. Men may also help with looking after the children. It's not only that men can also look after the young children, and so many things. So that's one alternative that some scholarly devotee, I don't know which scholarly devotee said that. The seminal lineages of Brahmanas must be restored through training in scriptures and rituals, and by their high birth, learning and expertise, these Brahmanas would establish their hegemony in Hindu society. Well, we're not really interested in creating Hindu society as such, although socially, I suppose you could say that we are, when we're talking about Varnashram, it's what people nowadays understand to be Hinduism. Although in that article, which appears in the Science of Self-Realization, except in the Russian edition where it was deliberately taken out, when Srila Prabhupada addresses the question of whether the Krishna consciousness movement is Hindu, Srila Prabhupada says, no, we are Varnashram. So Srila Prabhupada made a clear distinction there. Sanatana Dharma in this world is Varnashram Dharma. So, I haven't heard this theory either, but presumably if there are devotees who are living as brahmanas, then it's expected that, and they produce children in a controlled religious manner, not just out of lust, then presumably their children being raised in such an atmosphere would imbibe Brahminical qualities. So there may be Brahminical lines established again. But again we see that a Brahminical line may be, it's not that it's fixed, that someone who's born a Brahmin has to be a Brahmin. We don't find that in the Puranas. We find the 100 sons of Rishabdev who had taken the role of a Kshatriya, then 9 of his sons, they were the Navayogendras living as Brahmanas, and then Bharat was the emperor of the world, and 11 of them they were given different parts of the universe to rule over under Bharat, and the others, the rest, 81 I think it was, something like this, they were Kshatriyas also, but some of them were Brahmanas. And there are many, many examples. There's that Vajra Shuchika Upanishad, which says that Valmiki was born from an anthill, Rishya Shringa was born from, what was he born from? From the Shringa, from the horn, from a rabbit, something like that. It gives so many examples. The Varuna and Mitra, their semen came from a pot, and that produced, who was that? Bharadvaj, I don't know, I can't remember, but it gives so many examples of Brahmanas. They were produced in unusual ways. So, another idea given by Shamnitinanda, anonymously quoting different scholarly devotees. The main problem is anxiety for economic security, so scholarly devotees should be provided with sufficient resources to maintain family, conduct research and open teaching facilities without the need to gather followers or donations. Well, that can't be a principle of Varnashram Dharma, it can be an aspect of it. So that's number 4. Devotees should isolate themselves from mainstream society and develop their own institutions, following strict rules of personal and communal conduct. People all over the world will be attracted to such an ideal way of life. That sounds a good social principle. The idea of having our own farms and living according to our own rules in Krishna consciousness, living apart from the materialistic society, yeah, that's definitely what we're aiming for. Can any of these principles, such as sexual segregation, there has to be, that has to be there in civilized society at some level, not to the extent that he's stated. Seminal lineage, that also, but not fixed, not rigid. Economic security, yeah, the economic security for everyone, Varnashram society. Or isolated community be the central principle for the establishment of Varnashram Dharma. They all have they're all aspects of it, but the central principle is that everyone cooperates to please Krishna. Okay, going to stop and start? We didn't do that last time. All right. Kartik Kumar from Bangalore is quoting Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10. chapter 45, text 5, spoken by Krishna. Sarvartha sambhavo deho janita poshito yataha natayor yati nirveshang pitror matya shatayusha. Translation. With one's body one can acquire all goals of life, and it is one's parents who give the body birth and sustenance. Therefore no mortal man can repay his debt to his parents, even if he serves them for a full lifetime of 100 years. Questions. 1. Why does Krishna say here that one cannot repay his debt to his parents, even if he serves them for a full lifetime of 100 years, when in Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 5, Text 4, Narad Muni says to Vasudev, one who has taken shelter of Krishna's lotus feet is not indebted to demigods, great sages, ordinary living beings, relatives, friends, mankinds, or even one's forefathers who have passed away. So how are we to understand this statement, and how should we take this comment on, So there's that verse which Srila Prabhupada quotes 3 times, I believe, in Bhagavad Gita as it is. Because Arjuna's whole proposition was not to go against the family. So Devarshir Bhutapta Nirnang Pitrinam Nakinkaro Nayam Reni Charajan Sarvatmanaya Sharanang Sharanyam Kato Mukundam Parihritya Kartum. One who has taken full shelter of Mukunda is not a debtor, as every other human is, to the demigods, to the rishis, to one's family members, to human beings in general, or to other living beings. So this appears to be contradictory, because Krishna says you can't repay your debt to your parents even if you serve them for a full lifetime of 100 years. But then Krishna says if you take full shelter of me, then you're not indebted. Well, it's one statement is qualified by another. This is common. A general truth, there are exceptions. Sri Lankans are good people. Okay, we can accept that as a general proposition. There must be some. Well, this one, he's not a good man. Some of them are not good. Or so it's a general case, but it's quite normally. Actually, one can repay. One repays the debts to the parents by having children. That's the understanding. And by pitris to so the children they will offer pinda to the pitris. So one repays one. What is the debt to the parent? That you were given a body by them. So you can't exactly repay, but you create more bodies. So there is a way to repay, but the mood of this is that what you have given is so valuable that we feel we can't repay. You shouldn't think, okay, now I repaid my parents, and then okay, leave them alone, forget them. That's the idea. Gratefulness should be there. Because yes, sarvartha sambhavo deha. Everything that we want to do, that can be done through the body. If you don't have a body, you can't do anything. If you're a ghost, for instance, or if you're born in a subhuman body, then one cannot achieve the goal of life. So therefore the human life is very valuable. But if we fully dedicate to Krishna, then we become free from the ordinary method of repaying the debt to the parents, because we actually benefit not only the parents, but even previous generations and forthcoming generations. Krishna delivers them all. So therefore one is not a debtor if one fully takes shelter of Krishna, because Krishna takes care of all the parents and everyone else. So the general case is that one cannot repay the debt to the parents. And of course that's very much part of Indian culture, especially in North India. It's very well known, this story. What's his name? Kumar, Sampat Kumar, what is it? Shravan Kumar. It's a very common picture to see him carrying on his shoulder the father and mother. So, question number 2, is this comment applicable to only a Krishna conscious father and mother, or a materialistic father and mother also? Well, it's more, in one sense, it's more applicable to a materialistic father and mother, in as much as by Krishna consciousness you repay the debt. Of course, you shouldn't think that, well, it doesn't matter about my parents. A child in Krishna consciousness should not be neglectful of parents, but may also, if one is fully engaged in preaching Krishna consciousness, then he may not marry and look after the parents in old age, but should be seen that someone looks after them, some arrangement is made, something is done. In Krishna consciousness, yeah, we shouldn't take it as an excuse to neglect our parents. Then another question. From Rasi Govinda Das in Abu Dhabi. I could understand from Srimad Bhagavatam that Sri Prahalad Maharaj is fearless. He is a pure devotee of the Lord and does not ask for any material benefits from the Lord. But in the Nrsimha Kavacha mantra it states that, "O Lord, please protect me from west, east, north, etc." And there is also the Falashruti, result of reciting the Kavacha, which states that one attains material benedictions like good sons, wealth, long life, etc. How to understand these two different modes of Prahlad Maharaj? I'm not sure that Nrsimha Kavacha is ascribed to Prahlad Maharaj. Did you read that? I don't see that it's said by him. It may be prayed by someone else. So different people may approach the Lord at different levels of consciousness. Someone may approach Nrsimha Dev, please protect me from all material dangers. And Prahlad Maharaj says, what is that? Naivod Vijay Paradurateya Vaitaranya Stradvirya Vayana Katamrita Magna Chittam. Said, I'm not afraid of death or anything in this world because I'm just absorbed in chanting your glories. So that's, but materialistic people, they may pray to Nrsimha, protect me, and they identify with the body, so they pray like that. And that's also much better than not praying to Nrsimha Dev. But actually this Nrsimha Kavacha, I don't see that in our Gauriya line it's I don't know that anyone's particularly recommended it. It may be that householders, they may pray like this. Srila Prabhupada in his commentary on Kunti's prayers says that somehow the householders, they may also be embarrassed. They may pray to the Lord for some material benediction also, because they have their families to look after. So that may be there. Even if Prahlad said this, then we can take it that he's not personally concerned with all these things, but he may do so to teach others also. So there's no contradiction. There are different things stated in Shastra for different people on different levels. Srimad Bhagavatam is a higher Shastra than Nrsimha Kavacha, because Srimad Bhagavatam promotes pure devotional service to Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even therein, there are some sops for materialistic people. You know what that word sop means? Maybe many English-speaking people don't know. It's a word used, it's an English word, but it's used more in Indian English. You know that word? They talk about electoral sops. That means before the election, the party will give TVs to everyone. Some kind of bribe to get your favor. One party says we'll give the children in the school 1 egg a day, and then the other party says we'll give them 2 eggs a day. Then you say we give 3 eggs a day, and then it goes on. Then they'll all get salmonella as one kind of disease caused by eating eggs. Hare Krishna. The party that was giving out TVs, and then the head of that party is in Tamil Nadu. He made his own TV station, so he can promote his own line through. And now everyone's got a TV, now they can get our propaganda. But that TV station now, through Damodar Gauranga, is now doing the Ramanuja TV series. And guess who's overseeing it? Karunanidhi himself. At the end of his life, he's becoming somewhat inclined to Vaishnavism. Let's hope he gets... Anyway, I won't say too much because I have to go back to India, and he's still a very powerful man. We wish him all the best. Hare Krishna. Yeah, anything else?
Guru Maharaj, in the first question, you mentioned that according to taste also we worship.
According to taste may we worship. Yeah, that's true. That's true in the highest level, and it's also true at every level. Even different people are attracted to different, even within ISKCON, people are attracted to different groups and different gurus. What to speak of, there are so many different organizations. Why do some people go to different, they don't come to us, they go to different religious organizations? It's also a question of personal taste, which is one reason why we stress so much on understanding philosophically, because in the conditioned state, our taste is it's not in line with our best self-interest. It's impelled by karma, by material desire, which is jnanam avritya dehinam, which covers our pure consciousness. So in the beginning we should be very careful not to follow our own mind, but that is there. And even when we're discussing Siddhanta, just like I'm saying, the Advaitavad, and then there are different strains of, especially Ramanuja and Madhva and their followers have contested Shankaracharya's Keval Advaitavad. But ultimately, I mean, there were people, especially Madhva, he converted so many people from Advaitavad. And Shankara himself converted people from the Vedic Mimamsa followers to his Advaitavad. But mostly people follow, it's what they feel like. even after discussing so much philosophy. This we find also in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when discussing with the Mayavadis of Varanasi. They admitted afterwards, yes, actually what you said is right, but we know that, but we were just following because it's our sampradaya. You just become part of a group or a party, and yeah, this is our line, this is what we do. We don't try to find the truth of it. What's actually the truth? Sampradaya avarod. It's in line with our party, so we go along with it. That's what they said. So a lot of times, even philosophically, it doesn't seem to be much use discussing because people follow what they want to. It's not a good way to find the truth. Because we're in ignorance, and then how are we going to find the truth? By following what we want. By following what we want, that's why we're in ignorance. That is our ignorance. And at the highest levels, when devotees are fully surrendered to Krishna, then there are devotees worshipping Narayana in Vaikuntha. There are devotees worshipping Krishna in Vrindavan. Within Vrindavan, some like to worship him as they become a cow to serve Krishna in that way, or they become a cowherd boy or a cowherd girl or a motherly figure or fatherly figure. So the different tastes also. Yeah, so.
I was thinking in the present, not our conditioned state, for example, honor devotees. For them, even if they chant the holy name and they are members of ISKCON, it's in many ways is easier for them to adopt some rituals from Sri Vaishnava.
Yeah, for Tamil devotees it seems that by their culture and their conditioning they're much inclined to rituals more than the chanting.
Especially Sri Vaishnava.
Well, it's not only in the Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya.
South Indian mood.
Yeah, South India, there's the Shaivas are also full in rituals. It's a very ritualistic approach in South India. Maybe they're born here because one reason they're born here is because they have that consciousness from a previous life. So we tend to get born in a situation that is congruent with our desires and our outlook. But that can change also, just like Chaitanya. There was no Sankirtan, mass Sankirtan in Bengal. Now there is. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu introduced that. And we see many devotees from a Tamil background, they love chanting and dancing, Hare Krishna. In the beginning they feel very reserved, but after some time you'll find they love to get into it. So that may change also in course of time.
But it seems to some extent they can go along with.
Oh, of course, yeah. I mean, you don't have to. Yeah, rituals that can be there. We're not against that. There are so many rituals. Even Hari Bhakti Vilas is full of so many rituals. Of course, none of our acharyas practiced even half of them, but it is allowed. That can be there. Deity worship is a ritualistic form of worship. Of course, even in our deity worship, it's even though there are many formulas to be followed, it's still quite a different mood to that. The Vrindavan mode of worship is still quite a different mood to that of South India. In the Vrindavan mode of deity worship, there's definitely the mood of bhav, is prakat bhava, manifest feelings, is very strong. And that's got a lot to do with the whole of Vrindavan and the whole atmosphere and the whole culture there. I'm talking here about Vrindavan as manifested in this world in the last 500 years or so. There have been so many devotees. It's a land of open, manifested feelings for Krishna, whereas reserve is much more, Maryada is much more the mood of South India. That's also there. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.